Thank you very much for staying with WION. You're watching World is One, and we begin this program with a breaking news. Another terror strike in Afghanistan, this time in a mosque in Kandahar. The attack happened during Friday prayers at the Fatemeh Mosque, District 1, Kandahar. This is the latest terror attack. Again, I will say this is breaking news from Afghanistan. There has been another terror attack. This time in a mosque in Kandahar. The attack happened during Friday prayers at the Fatemeh Mosque, District 1 in Kandahar. This is the latest terror attack. Remember, just yesterday, 2 people were killed in a mine blast in Asadabad city, which lies at the center of Kandahar province. Now, according to sources, an explosion took place on a Taliban Ranger vehicle near a Korean bridge. 2 people have been reportedly killed and 13 were injured in that attack. Government sources say that the police chief of Shigel district has been killed and 13, including Taliban fighters and civilians, were injured in that attack yesterday. Again, this is breaking news from Afghanistan. There has been another terror strike in Afghanistan, this time in a mosque in Kandahar. The attack happened during Friday prayers at the Fatemeh Mosque, District 1, Kandahar. This is the latest terror attack. This comes after another attack yesterday in Asadabad city, which lies at the center of Kandahar province. And according to sources from that explosion there, it took place on a Taliban Ranger vehicle near a Korean bridge. 2 people were reportedly killed and 13 injured. Among those killed is a chief or police chief of Shigel district who was killed in that attack yesterday, and 13 others, including Taliban fighters and civilians, were injured. Now, for more on this, we are joined by our correspondent, Anas Malik. Anas Malik, thank you very much for joining us at this hour. Probably you can start by giving us an update of the current situation.
Well, Eric, just before I went for this live, I have taken an update from ground, and it looks bad. The blast has literally taken place about 14 minutes back in the Fatemeh Mosque, or the Fatemeh Imam Barga, in the 1st district of Kandahar. That is the southern part of the country. Kandahar is a stronghold of the Afghan Taliban as well. No group has immediately taken responsibility. The nature of the blast is still unknown, but what I have learned from sources on ground is that the Friday sermon before the Friday prayers was ongoing when this explosion has taken place. Casualties are feared because people on ground say that this explosion took place inside the hall where this congregation was ongoing, where this Friday sermon was ongoing. And the hall was packed with people. We're awaiting updates from ground with regards to the number of casualties and rescue operations. In those visuals that have just come through, we're seeing that the rescue operations are currently underway, and people are using their cars and trunks of their private cars to move injured to the hospital. We're seeing that a couple of ambulances as well moving towards the hospital from that Fatemeh Imam Barga. Now, as we speak, we're awaiting details, but this is a pattern of the blast. Last week, we saw a similar blast taking place in the north side of the country, in Kunduz, in an Imam Barga or a Shiite mosque, where more than 60 people were killed and 150 plus were injured. Eric?
Well, Malik, these attacks are sort of recurring every week. What is the Taliban's response to some of these attacks?
Well, as we speak, there is no Taliban response because it has just taken place. As I said, roughly about 14 to 15 minutes ago, this blast has taken place in Kandahar, in the southern part of the country. We're yet to see a formal Taliban response on that. But what we understand is from the visuals that are on ground, from the sources that we have spoken who are on ground, they confirm that Taliban's reinforcements, quote unquote, are there at the site at the scene of this explosion. They are, quote unquote, gathering evidence. The nature of explosion, remember, as we speak, it is unclear what is the nature of this explosion. So as time passes, details of this explosion and a formal reaction from the part of the Taliban would be incoming. We'd be expecting that, and that would make it much more clear. Eric?
Malik, in general, what is the Taliban doing to, safeguard the security of its people? These are Afghans.
Well, if I talk to you specifically about Kabul, we've had a threat alert here in Kabul since last week, and the Taliban have been trying to ensure or give this semblance or sense of security. They've been cordoning off that hotel. Today's a Friday. We were expecting some sort of untoward incident within the country because there is a pattern to IS attacks that have been happening. The Taliban are trying to ensure that these untoward incidents do not take place. They've been beefing up security. They've been trying to ensure security. They've been reaching out to the Shiite community, to the Shias. Last week we saw the target were Shia Hazaras, and they have been telling them that they will do whatever it takes to ensure their safety, the safety of minorities. I spoke to Zabiullah Mujahid last week, earlier this week in fact, and he said that IS is, quote unquote, not a problem but rather more of a headache or more of a challenge for them, and that they have the wherewithal to eliminate or eradicate IS. As we speak, no group has formally taken responsibility, but this is a pattern that follows, and it looks like the handiwork of the Islamic State or Daesh, as we say. The Taliban on their part have increased their security presence or their security foothold. They've been conducting raids against the IS as well, but for now all of that seems a little too little too late, and that the IS on the other hand, they are trying to make their presence felt, and they are trying to give this impression that something the Taliban took pride in, security, after they took over Afghanistan. They are trying to rebut that claim of security or Afghanistan being secure with these continuous attacks. Eric?
Malik, it's been 2 months since the Taliban takeover. How successful have the Taliban been in handling the terror strikes?
Well, it's been, you rightly mentioned, today is the 15th of October. Today exactly marks 2 months of the Taliban took over. The Taliban entered the city of Kabul on the 15th of August. And since about 40 days, about 20 days after they took over, we've been seeing the Taliban attacking continuously. These attacks started off from the east, from Nangarhar in Jalalabad, and then they went towards further towards southeast in Kunar. And then it came towards the center of the country as well in Kabul. Here in Kabul, we saw about 2 weeks back, we saw that blast taking place outside a mosque when a memorial service was being held. And then, yes, last week we saw a blast taking place in the north of the country, and today we're seeing a blast taking place in the south of the country. So essentially, the IS is expanding their foothold. They're trying to make their presence felt. The Taliban have been conducting continuous raids in order to give this semblance that they are trying to do much against the IS. They've been conducting operations after operations. They've been making arrests as well. In fact, people associated with the Islamic State, their bodies, bullet-riddled bodies, have been found in the east of the country as well. But despite of that, the IS's strength or the IS's wherewithal has not subsidized, and the IS continues with their attack. So what it indicates is that there needs to be a change of strategy on the part of Taliban. Number one, perhaps that could be one of the reasons, or that the Taliban needs to do more. Day before yesterday, we saw a press conference from Qari Saeed Mohammad Khosti, the spokesperson of the Ministry of Interior from the Taliban, and he had warned that any of the Taliban fighters found in contact with ISK people would A, be punished, severely punished under the Sharia, and B, that they would that this would tantamount to treason. So that indicates that two things. One, that the Taliban are fearing an infiltration within their ranks. We've seen the Taliban doing that previously when the US forces were here, those green on blue attacks, but now looks like the Taliban are fearing something that they had been doing previously. It's a repeat of what they are fearing, and that's the reason they are now going public and in one or many ways admitting these fears, making these fears public, and saying that they would be doing actions against these guys, against these individuals. So that explains the magnitude of fear that is there, and the Taliban on their part clearly need to do more. Eric?
Stay with us, Anas Malik, because I will update our viewers on what is happening currently. Another terror strike has hit Afghanistan, this time in a mosque in Kandahar. The attack happened during Friday prayers at the Fatmir Mosque, District 1 in Kandahar. Again, this is another terror strike in Afghanistan, and Anas Malik has been updating us on what is currently happening. Malik, what is the core problem for the Taliban when it comes to identifying terror groups like ISIS-K?
Well, that is a bigger problem because the ISK has been operating along the same lines as the Taliban had been doing. They have had sleeper cells. There was a raid here in Kabul as well, and the family said that they thought when we spoke to the people in the neighborhood, they said they thought that these guys were from the Taliban. Turned out they were not. So the Taliban have been battling. They've been relying on ground intelligence and those infiltrators on the other side that they can possibly share information, but the threshold of that information is quite too little. The reason IS has been able to operate freely or carry out these attacks freely. As we speak, we're yet to see a formal claim on this attack. In fact, information is just trickling in as well. As we speak, information is just trickling in with regards to this blast. And as and when time passes, only then the dust will be cleared on the nature of the explosion, who did it, how it happened, and how many casualties are there. Eric?
Let's talk more about this situation. We had a Minister of Interior statement 2 days back outlining and warning the Talib cadre on ISIS. Do you think it is making any difference right now?
Right as we speak, it would not probably make a difference within the Talib fighters or within the ranks, but what it would do is that the level of ground intelligence that would lead to being increased. We've seen that happening on ground. The Taliban men on the ground, or Taliban fighters, have become increasingly more proactive. They've been exchanging more and more messages, more and more pictorial messages with regards to movements of individuals, be that be from that hotel or be that be from elsewhere, as well from those prime locations where foreigners are housed. So that warning from Qari Saeed Mohammad Khosti, the Ministry of Interior spokesperson, that can very well resonate with that can serve as something that can possibly serve as the fact that the Taliban are serious about it. But until and unless actions on these are taken and somebody is caught and they are taken to task, nothing on the ground, at least for the time being, nothing on the ground could perhaps change. Eric?
Well, if you're just joining us, this is to our viewers. Another terror strike has struck Afghanistan, this time in a mosque in Kandahar. The attack happened during Friday prayers at the Fatmir Mosque, District 1 in Kandahar. This is the latest terror attack. Remember, there was another attack yesterday that killed 2 people in a mine blast in Asadabad city in Afghanistan. This is in the Kunar province. Finally, Malik, you had a conversation recently with the State Information Minister, Zabiullah Mujahid, and he sounded to be in control. As far as ISIS-K is concerned, what did you gather just a week back? Kunduz Shiite Mosque was witnessed or has witnessed to 60 plus deaths. What have you gathered from this conversation with Mujahid?
Well, before I go to your question, Eric, the latest update is that this explosion took place inside the mosque, very near to the gate, inside the congregation hall. This is what local sources are telling us, that this explosion in Kandahar's Fatmiya Mosque, or the Fatmiya Imam Barga, took place inside the mosque, very near to the gate, inside the congregation hall where the Friday sermon was ongoing. As we speak, the rescue operations are currently underway, and the number of casualties are currently unknown. However, it is said that the number can possibly be very high, primarily because this explosion took place inside. Coming back to your part of the question, in what happened in Kunduz, where after Kunduz we saw beefed up security everywhere in Kabul or elsewhere in the country as well. The Taliban have been conducting these continuous raids. They have been saying that they will be arresting and bringing those who are involved. They will be bringing them to task. But for now, that seems only hollow assurances, or only talks that are there. Talks that are to be followed by actions. We're yet to see that. And until those actions are done, that semblance of security or normalcy that they would want to create, that would not happen. The Taliban are trying to underplay the threat of the IS. Clearly, they have been trying to do so for over weeks now. In fact, when I spoke to Zabihullah Mujahid, he said, and to quote him, he said that the IS is not a problem, but rather a challenge for them. So that goes on to explain the mindset behind that they would want to downplay. And of course, it is understood that they would want to downplay, because when that deal was being negotiated, the Taliban were trying to give this semblance that for the only hurdle for peace between in Afghanistan is the fact that they are fighting and they have the wherewithal. But now that pride, or that thing that they took, that narrative that they took in great pride in with regards to security, that seems to be punctured with the IS ramping up their attacks here in Afghanistan. Eric?
Malika, you seem to be getting more information on ground. Probably you can check if there is any other further details of this attack.
The mosque, inside the congregation hall, very near to the gate of the mosque, this explosion took place. When it took place, the Friday sermon was ongoing. This is what I am learning from people on ground. Rescue operations is currently ongoing. The exact number of casualties, as we speak, it's unknown, but the rescue operations, as we speak, is currently ongoing. Eric?
The latest from Afghanistan, there has been another terror strike in Afghanistan, this time in a mosque in Kandahar. And the visuals you see on your screen is actually happening right now as we speak. The rescue operation is underway in Afghanistan, Kandahar to be precise. If you're just joining us, you're watching WION, and this is the latest from Afghanistan. There has been another terror strike, this time in a mosque in Kandahar. The attack happened during Friday prayers inside the mosque, as we are told by our correspondent Anas Malik, at the Fatmiya Mosque, District 1 in Kandahar. This is the latest terror attack. Remember, just yesterday, 2 people were killed in a mine blast in Asadabad city, which lies at the center of Kunar province. According to sources, an explosion took place on a Taliban Ranger vehicle near a Korean bridge. 2 people were killed, including the police chief of Shigel district, and the others who were injured, 13 who were injured, included Taliban fighters and civilians. No group has claimed responsibility for this latest attack in Kandahar. And yes, we have been talking to our correspondent Anas Malik live from Kabul.